And to learn more about the outcome of this meeting, we go to our correspondent here in Caracas, Ian Bruce. Hi Ian, listen, now that members have agreed to support further dialogues between the Venezuelan government and the opposition, what happens next?
Well, that remains to be seen, Reagan. I mean, this certainly does, at least for the time being, look like something of a victory for the Venezuelan government. I mean, the Foreign Minister, Delcy Rodriguez, had at the beginning argued very strongly that the whole session should be suspended because it was out of order, according to her, and the Secretary General, Luis Almagro, was trying to turn the OAS into a forum for a kind of inquisition against the Venezuelan government. That wasn't accepted. Most member states thought they did want to hear the report. But as you say, after most of the representatives have spoken in favor of dialogue, the Argentinian chair closed the session. There was no vote. He simply said that the Secretary General's report and all the interventions will be noted in the minutes. So it does look like the attempt to invoke the Democratic Charter has been kicked into the long grass for the time being. That's something of a blow for Venezuela's opposition, because they'd set a lot of store by this. They've been working hard with Almagro to try and get this applied, this Democratic Charter. In fact, one of the leaders of the opposition, Henry Ramos Alut, the Speaker of the Venezuelan National Assembly, had traveled to Washington. He was hoping to speak at the session. In the end, he wasn't even invited. So yeah, the Venezuelan government seems to be vindicated for the moment. It remains to be seen, however, whether that will have any influence on the Venezuelan opposition in terms of bringing it to a negotiating table, which so far it's refused to approach.
Ian, we know that 74% of Venezuelans support dialogue between the two parties, 82% support international monitors, and 89% want the Pope to get involved. How much of a say do Venezuelans have in talks between the two parties?
Well, I think there's a very broad sentiment in favour of dialogue. That's absolutely clear. I mean, I don't think anybody's proposing that the population would be consulted directly in a dialogue process. I think this will be a bipartite thing between the two, if it happens. But yeah, there's absolutely a sentiment, I think, across from both sides, actually. Many opposition supporters probably feel like that too, although their leaders are not wanting to take part in the dialogue at the moment. I think there's a general feeling that something needs to be done, and a dialogue seems like a good way of approaching it. I mean, one of the foreign leaders, the former president of the Dominican Republic, Leonel Fernandez, said today, after the OAS session, that all efforts needed to be put now into a dialogue, because the only alternative, as he saw it, was a slide towards violence.
Ian, previously, OAS Secretary General Luis Almagro was vociferous in terms of wanting to start this democratic charter against Venezuela, but now he's changed his mind. Do we have any idea as to what prompted his change of mind?
Well, I don't think he's changed his mind, Reagan. I mean, the OAS simply doesn't seem to have taken much account of what he wanted. I mean, he may well try to take some more steps in that direction. We don't know. He hasn't said anything since the session. But, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But I don't think there's any indication that he's necessarily changed his mind. He just hasn't succeeded.
All right, thanks so much, Ian, for that update. We'll touch base with you another time. Thanks again.